Hello, and welcome to episode 470 of the official EstablishTheRun.com podcast. My name is Adam Levitan, as always, joined by Evan Silva. We just talked about the NFC. Today, we'll be talking about the AFC, the real conference. Evan, what's going on?
The real conference. Yeah, I guess I could see that.
Oh, my God. All the best teams except for the Eagles are in the AFC. It's crazy.
Right. Yeah, we are coming off an absolute – well, I mean – every season is a bloodbath, but this particular week was usually what happens historically. If you look at it statistically, it's like the first couple of weeks 1, 2, 3, there's a lot of injuries, guys pulling hamstrings early in the season, they don't practice like they used to. There's no 2 days in training camp. Players have to get in shape really by themselves. At this point. And so there are a lot of injuries early in the season, and then things kind of level off. I feel like things have not leveled off, and we are coming off an absolute bloodbath of a week from injury standpoint. I like to get a lot of my writing done for matchups early in the week, so that I don't have a ton of stuff to do late in the week, obviously. But it's hard to write the matchups column when there are so many key guys. What I try to do early in the week is try to find the healthiest games and write those up. But right now there aren't very many healthy games.
Yeah. So
I'm kind of off to a slow start. Hopefully I'll make some on Wednesday when we get some answers, some early week answers. Then we can hit it full stride. But that's just kind of the situation right now. I mean, this was a brutal week for injuries.
Really bad. You know who hasn't been hurt this season, Evan? Christian McCaffrey. Just saying. Yeah, I'm right. just saying facts. He's not been hurt. Has not been hurt this season. Okay. As I said, we're going to go team by team through each AFC squad today, talking through what we saw in week 7, what it means going forward. Before we get into it, I have to remind everyone, this podcast is brought to you by our friends at Underdog Fantasy. Every week they have these big battle royale contests, snake drafts for 1 week fantasy. Best way to put your knowledge to use. Use promo code ETR when you sign up. They will match your first deposit up to $100. And we do have rankings available every Wednesday for the Battle Royale contest. Check those out if you are a subscriber on the site. Also, NBA is up and running. Be sure, if you're into the NBA, if you want to bet props, if you want to play DFS, it's really, really, really hard to win without the best projection set around. We have a full team working 24/7. The next 6 months, grinding NBA projections, just an absolutely ridiculous undertaking. All right, Evan, let's get started here with the Baltimore Ravens. Gus Edwards made his debut, and honestly, Gus played more than I thought he would play. Gus played better than I thought he would play, and maybe that means a lot going forward. Now, this week is a short week, and so it's tough, I think, to ask someone to come back from an ACL, play 23 snaps, get 17 opportunities, then 4 days later play a lot again. But we'll see. Still encouraging. Kenyon Drake played 17 snaps. Justice Hill played 20 snaps. What did you think of Gus Edwards' debut, and how would you value Gus Edwards' rest of season?
Well, if you look at the usage distribution, look, this was Gus Edwards' first game. He not only did he tear his ACL, he tore his LCL in his hamstring, and he had apparently some doubt that he might ever play again. Here he is looking really good. This is his first game back. He didn't play that many more snaps. I think he played one more snap maybe than Kenyon Drake. And then Justice Hill did a bunch of stuff in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
So it was a 3-man rotation. Gus Edwards obviously got into the box a couple times, and that will make his output look better. Only one target in the pass. Actually, the Ravens running backs as a unit did not catch a single pass. Now, Lamar Jackson completed only 9 passes, and that will help explain why Mark Andrews was a 0. But yeah, I mean, I thought Gus Edwards looked good, but I am with you that I wonder how he's going to recover on a short week. Will they be willing, especially against Tampa Bay, not the easiest matchup? How's he going to bounce back off that? But it was a very impressive debut.
Undoubtedly. Also, on the injury front, Rashad Bateman made it back for this game, ran 15 routes on 21 Lamar Jackson dropbacks. We're still in this kind of 60 to 70% route participation range for Rashad Bateman, which isn't great when your quarterback's not dropping back a ton, but still believe Rashad Bateman's talent. And, I'm not falling over myself to play Rashad Bateman or to trade for him or anything, but I do think that he's an asset to at least have. Bills. They were on a bye. They'll come out of their bye and face the Packers on Sunday Night Football, the struggling Packers on Sunday Night Football. The stuff that I'm watching continues to be the McKenzie Shakir battle. Remember, in that game before the bye, McKenzie was so bad. Does that mean Shakir has earned more? I'll be watching that Sunday night. Anything for you on the Bills as they come out of their bye?
No, I think that pretty much sums it up. There's not a whole lot to discuss there. Best offense in the league, probably, right?
Oh, without a doubt.
Kansas City's pretty good, but
yeah. But I mean, and also Bills defense is legit good too. I mean, Bills are just so good.
Yeah.
Anyways,
I saw that Gregory Rousseau, who they took early in the draft, I think 2 years ago, he's just having a monster breakout season. Has like the best pass block, defeat rate in the NFL or something like that. Like, or getting pressure on like 31% of his pass rush attempts. I mean, just they're loaded up front.
Loaded. Cincinnati, our Bengals are back, baby. Started off slow, just like last year with the run stuff. A lot of runs on 1st and 10, a lot of situations where teams on average are expected to pass and they were running. Last few weeks, though, they have ramped it up massively in the pass rate and pass rate over expectation. And when you get that, you get these outrageous ceiling games from Joe Burrow, who is clearly very talented and very good on his own, but is certainly dragged up by having Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and Tyler Boyd, 3 very, very, very good receivers who can elevate quarterback play. And this Joe Burrow ceiling, I mean, I was talking to Leone about it. It's like entering Nick Chubb territory where it's hard to bake in Joe Burrow's true ceiling because it like breaks everything. Joe Burrow's made 33 NFL starts. 5 of them, 5 out of 33, he's gone over 400 yards with 3 or more touchdowns. I mean, the record for most 400-yard games in a career is 16, held by Drew Brees, but it took Drew Brees 287 starts. Again, Joe Burrow has 5 of these in 33 starts. So the ceiling is like hard for the model to capture on Joe Burrow because it's so outrageous what you see out of the Bengals, who got off to a hot start and just kept their foot on the gas against the Falcons.
Yeah, so Leone, I put up a graphic today showing the pass rate above expectation. The Bengals are just blowing the doors off for the last 2 weeks. Yeah, like plus 21% or something,
which is absolutely insane.
Over expectation, which is insane. Something that the film grinders like Robert Mays, Nate Tice, Greg Cosell have noted is that the Bengals are now just a full-blown shotgun team, and they have sort of catered to Joe Burrow. That allows Joe Burrow to sit there and just pick apart matchups, and dudes around him can win matchups. I mean, even Hayden Hurst he went 6 for 48 in this game. He's been productive. He's been able to win a lot of matchups, even on the perimeter and against cornerbacks. They're loaded with weapons. Their offensive line is starting to come together. Their offensive philosophy has changed to cater and suit Joe Burrow, and they're on fire right now. And I don't see it ending.
Yep, so good, and so fun to watch when the Bengals are throwing the ball a lot. Let's go to the Cleveland Browns, who took a tough loss to the Ravens and lost a very, very important player in the process. David Njoku hurt his ankle. Looks like it's going to be 2 to 4, maybe 5 weeks, something like that. So a wide range there on David Njoku's recovery time, which is a shame because he's been playing well. Now, Harrison Bryant is a pretty good player, man. I don't think he won the MF and Mackey Award. Did Harrison Bryant?
Oh, yes, he did. He motherfucking did.
He did. Okay. I apologize to the MF and Mackey Award people out there. He did win it. Harrison Bryant can play a little bit. I think he has a chance here. I'd certainly add him if I was carrying Njoku and I needed a fill-in. What do you see out of the Browns' 23-20 loss in Baltimore?
Yeah, I would certainly add Harrison Bryant anywhere you need tight end help. He's good. This offense is built to funnel through the tight end. I'm pulling up his stats right now from college. But I mean, he's going to be on the field every snap because he can block too. In college at Florida Atlantic. Yeah, Florida Atlantic. He went for over 1,000 yards as a senior. You don't in 13 games. Like, you don't see that from college tight ends. He's a very good athlete. 65 catches for 1,004 yards, 7 touchdowns, averaged 15.5 yards per reception in his final season at Florida Atlantic. Just ripped the cover off of Conference USA. And I mean, I think he's a top 12 option right away.
I mean, he's had some reasonable NFL games too. I've certainly played him before, maybe not last year, but probably the year before or something like that in DFS. I remember correctly. He's been fine at the NFL level as well. So it's not just like, oh, he dominated Florida Atlantic. What's he going to do in the NFL? He can play in the NFL also. So yeah, I'd be reasonably excited about Harrison Bryant also.
Well, he dominated to such an extent that he won the Mackey Award as a Conference USA player.
Right.
You know, I mean, he can catch, he can block. The offense is built to suit a tight end. I mean, I think he's a top 12 fantasy tight end play right away.
Let's go to the Denver Broncos, the mess of the Denver Broncos. I mean, this stuff with Melvin Gordon just encapsulates how unorganized and poorly schemed and poorly run the Broncos have been all year. So after he plays 9 snaps in week 6, Melvin Gordon complains or whatever. I don't know what happened. And then next thing you know, Melvin Gordon's back starting, leads them with snaps, leads the backfield in snaps with 40. I mean, it's just, they don't know what they're doing. They're just like throwing stuff against the wall, hoping it sticks. Brett Rippon was maybe a downgrade on Russell Wilson, but I don't think a big one with the way that Russ was playing. I think the only good news here is that Greg Dulcich's usage is really, really good. Ran around on 34 out of 48 Brett Rippon dropbacks. Dulcich was in the slot for 23 out of his 47 snaps. He saw 9 targets for 19.5% share, 651 0 result. You know, Judy played better with Rippon than he had with Russ Wilson, I thought, but not sure that means too much. What do you think of Rippon? Anything else on the Broncos?
Yeah, I mean, they dropped him back to pass 47 times. I mean, I can't imagine that they wanted to play like that. 16-19 game. But this is what Broncos games are going to be like all year, because they do have a really good defense. They've got good players on every level of their defense. They've got the best corner in the league in Patrick Surtain. They've got they just got back Justin Simmons, who was their franchise tag player. He had been out for the first few weeks. They're going to play in a lot of ugly, mucked up games, and it's not going to be very much fun for fantasy. I agree with you on Dulcich. I would say that he's at least a top 15 tight end option. He may be a top 12 tight end option. And Jerry Jeudy runs higher percentage routes, although they're already talking about in London going back to Russ.
Yeah.
So I don't know if there's a whole lot to take away there from the Brett Rippon start.
Yeah, I think Russ will be back pretty soon. It sounds like maybe you prefer Harrison Bryant to Dulcich. I don't know. I think it's close, but I think I'd rather probably have Dulcich, just more long-term value, because if Njoku gets back in a couple weeks, Harrison Bryant is just going to be dusted. So I think I'd rather have Dulcich.
No, that's fair. Yeah, absolutely. That's absolutely fair.
Yeah. Houston, I've already taken the L on the Davis Mills stuff, that he's just not good. And this is just a bad team. I was disappointed in Nico Collins' groin injury, because it felt to me, and a lot of the data was showing that Nico Collins was gaining ground in terms of underlying usage on Brandon Cooks, but Nico Collins hurt his groin in this game. We'll see how long he is out for. But yeah, just another disappointing offensive performance, other than another solid game for Dameon Pierce, our hero. Dameon Pierce, Evan, what do you see out of the Texans?
Yeah, and I wonder if the Nico Collins injury, and it sounds like it's going to be a multiple week thing based on just the way that the other players were talking about it. Philip Dorsett in particular. Philip Dorsett may all of a sudden become a starter. Yeah. In place of Nico Collins. But I wonder if that injury reduces the chances that Brandon Cooks gets traded. Because that had become a pretty significant rumor, at least heading into this previous week.
Yeah. They should trade him, obviously, if they can get a draft pick for him. I mean, they should. Absolutely. We'll see if they do. Let's go to the Colts. So one of the surprising stories of the week is that Matt Ryan, second in the NFL in dropbacks per game, by the way. I mean, they've just been like, screw it. We're just going to drop back Matt Ryan 60 times a game and hope for the best the last 2 weeks. Obviously, hasn't been great. They decided today, or I guess it was yesterday, they're going to bench Matt Ryan, and he hurt his shoulder, but they're benching him not for just 1 week, not for just 2 weeks. They said adamantly and clearly they're going with Sam Ehlinger for the rest of the NFL season. Now, I think that they're doing this as a bit of a tanking thing, and not that Matt Ryan was good. Well, I don't know. I'm curious what you think. Who gives them a better chance to win, Sam Ehlinger or Matt Ryan? Maybe Sam Ehlinger gives them a better chance to win. I don't know for sure, but I do think that they are accepting losses and accepting a lost season at this point. What do you think of the move to go to Ehlinger, and what can you tell the people about Ehlinger's game?
So I read the article in The Athletic from Zach Kiefer, who does a remarkable job covering this team and really covering a lot of different. Follow Zach Kiefer on Twitter. I mean, he's a brilliant writer and journalist. He's like a legit journalist. Anyways, he wrote about this topic, and he was a little bit guarded, as I understand that he probably should be, because he's got to kind of play, multiple sides of the fence here. But, there's ownership, there is Chris Ballard, and there's Frank Reich. And it sounded to me like this is kind of being pushed by Jim Irsay. For good or bad, I don't know if it's for good or bad, but Matt Ryan had taken the most sacks in the NFL, thrown the most interceptions in the NFL, and fumbled the most times in the NFL. And so I get it. Sam Ehlinger is a guy that, he's had moments in the preseason, right?
Big time. Yeah,
big time. He ran for 33 touchdowns in 4 years at the University of Texas. Now, he played 4 years at the University of Texas and went in the 6th round. That's usually not a good sign. You got a big sample of tape and data on him, and he still goes in the 6th round. But he is fairly athletic. Now, he ran 4.84, so he's not like fast, but he is a scrambler. He's got a high scrambling rate from the preseason. He only completed 62% of his passes in the Big 12. I think they're going to try to take advantage of his athleticism. And I think that that's probably what this comes down to, because Matt Ryan has no athleticism at all.
Yep. How do you think this affects JT and Pittman, if at all?
I think it hurts Pittman probably. I don't think he's going to have these big 14, 15 target games. I don't know if that's in his range of potential outcomes anymore.
Totally agree. And you see these 58 pass attempt games from Matt Ryan. I don't think you're getting that from Sam Ehlinger. Sam Ehlinger is going to run a lot, and I think he'll have some value there for people in 2 QB leagues. Passing efficiency is going to be a big problem, though. I think.
I think Taylor should be fine. It just comes down to health with him.
Yeah. And I thought JT looked reasonably healthy. They just got behind in the game. They played Naheem Hines a lot, but JT still had like a bunch of targets, like 8 or 9 targets. And we saw Deion Jackson get 10 targets the week before. Like, more targets to running backs is a good thing for JT. Obviously, we don't know what Sam Ehlinger's throw rate is going to be. Oh, should also note Paris Campbell. Last 2 weeks, man, Paris Campbell's been playing literally every snap in the slot, 22% target share. And he's been playing way better last 2 weeks, 17, 127, 2. But with Ehlinger, I would not be prioritizing Paris Campbell as a pickup.
Yeah.
Jacksonville, more big news here, Evan. Jacksonville takes advantage of the Jets here by Breece Hall goes down, which we'll get to in a second. James Robinson gets traded to the Jets. And so we have Travis Etienne here with Jermichael Hasty. That's pretty much it. It is wheels up time for Travis Etienne, who played 57 snaps and ran 20 routes in this game this past week. Very, very good usage. We know he's an explosive player. We know he has a shower narrative with Trevor Lawrence. I don't think there's much analysis here beyond, yes, it's time. It's happening for Travis Etienne. Anything on that? Anything else on the Jaguars?
Yeah, this is one of the rare scenarios where James Robinson's value benefits potentially immensely, although I don't think he's as good as Michael Carter.
Yep.
But he's going to have a role in all likelihood with the Jets that he was not having a role anymore with Jacksonville. And Etienne, he could erupt at this point. He was like an every down workhorse here. We know he can play in the passing game. He caught over 100 balls in 4 years at Clemson. And I would be very excited about Travis Etienne. I don't think he's a sell high or anything like that. I think you just roll him. He's an RB1 the rest of the way.
Yeah. And he's had some really explosive runs. He's 40, 50-yard runs, no problem. And
Christian Kirk got back on track here. The great Zay Jones update, 10 targets, 54 scoreless yards.
By the way, I was sitting in bed last night trying to fall asleep, and I have the TV on, and I'm almost asleep, and it's Josh Norris, national television, commercial. I'm watching national television, commercial, Josh Norris in my ear talking about underdog fantasy. Absolutely incredible. I couldn't sleep for the next 2 hours. I was so shook by it. Anyways.
Yeah, I was watching a football game one time and with my friends, my friends, and like up comes Josh Norris. I'm like, yo, I hired that guy, and they're like, yeah, right. They don't believe me. They don't believe
me. He went from making videos in his kitchen, which Evan saw and hired him, literally making videos in his kitchen, to national television commercials for Underdog. Love it. I mean, it's incredible.
Yeah, shout out to Josh Norris. We love him, but we have to give him, especially since the victory lap for the mock draft. Like any chance we get, we gotta hit him.
Chiefs. So the Rap Sheet comes out with this report, and we talked about it Sunday night on the show, and I think we had the right take on the Sunday morning show. Rap Sheet was right. Isaiah Pacheco did start, but he only played 19 snaps. I'm sorry. CH still played 19 snaps. McKinnon played 28 snaps. He led the backfield in snaps. And so we still had, and this is what we talked about Sunday morning. Yeah, Pacheco's starting. He still doesn't have a great pass game role, and CH is still going to play. You're talking about a three-headed committee against the 49ers. That's not a great spot to start someone. But still, it shows he's ascending that they gave him the start, and maybe he'll get the gap wider between him and CH at some point. I still think it's going to be hot hand three-way, but what do you think of the Pacheco start? Anything else on the Chiefs?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was exactly how we expected it to be when we talked about it on Sunday morning, that, hey, it's nice to see that they're giving Pacheco this opportunity or whatever, but like it's still a hot hand situation.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's going to change. I mean, none of the guys is really separated from the pack, and it's just going to be that way until someone does. I don't think anybody is.
Yeah.
Marquez Valdez-Scantling goes from, I think he goose-egged the previous week, right?
Correct.
To 3 for 111. That's just Marquez Valdez-Scantling. That's just who he is. So Juju has back-to-back 100-yard games. He's playing.
Back.
He's riffing with Mahomes, and Mahomes is so freaking good. He threw for 423 in this game, averaging 12.5 yards per attempt. He's unreal. He's sensational. I heard that Travis Kelce may have suffered an injury in this game. I don't think there have been any reporting on it. We'll have to look on the Wednesday injury report. Hopefully it's BS and he's good to go. But if there is something wrong with him, although they have a bye this week, don't they?
Them and the Chargers are on a bye this week.
Yes, them and the Chargers. That's right. There's only 2 teams on bye. Maybe he'll be fine, but I don't know. We'll see. If there's a report, the next guy up, I think, would be Noah Gray.
Yep. And they have that Fortson dude too. But yeah.
Jody Fortson, yeah.
Vegas, I don't know how much more we can say about Josh Jacobs. I feel like we've covered the Josh Jacobs stuff ad nauseum. From a season-long perspective, Josh Jacobs was not like a dead zone. Like the David Montgomery and Josh Jacobs thing was maybe comparable. The difference was everyone was expecting David Montgomery to get every down. Well, look now, and Khalil Herbert's playing a ton, whereas everybody expected Amir Abdullah and Zamir White to play a lot for the Raiders. I certainly did, and that didn't happen, right? So, taking a shot on Josh Jacobs in the 7th or 8th round has been probably the single biggest key to winning in season long this year. Just another massive performance. Foster Moreau filled in for Darren Waller, 19 routes on 28 dropbacks, only had 5.8 DraftKings points, but I think was fine. What do you see out of Raiders' easy win over the Texans?
Yeah, Jacobs just playing out of his mind. I mean, I think there is legitimate significance to, or that it's realistic to think that he is motivated by the fact that they did not pick up his option. They went out and got free agent RBs. They went out and drafted 2 RBs. I think that there's actual legitimacy to that narrative because he's never played this well in his career. But hats off to him. Hats off to the people that drafted him. I didn't.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to capitulate anymore. Okay. I mean, we've capitulated enough at this point, and we could just acknowledge move. I mean, in the matchup column, I wrote like each of the last 3 weeks, like dude's going to destroy. Dude's going to destroy. And so there's no more capitulation.
Yeah, exactly. Renfro made it back for this game too. Played to the hip issue. I thought he looked fine. And as I said, we'll keep an eye on Darren Waller's health. In a closer game, by the way, like if Houston had fought back, I mean, Devontae Adams would have gone completely nuclear. It's just Houston did not force Derek Carr to throw enough for a huge Devontae Adams game, but it would have been there for sure. I mean, he was on his way. Chargers, I don't know what Keenan Allen was doing, man. I had heard on Friday that Keenan was likely to sit. Then it comes out that he's trending in the right direction. He ends up active, only runs 14 routes on 57 Justin Herbert dropbacks in the game before the bye. Like, credit to him for trying to gut it out, but just didn't seem smart to me. And now they lose Mike Williams to what's reportedly a high ankle sprain as they head to their bye. Quote from Brandon Staley was Mike Williams is going to miss weeks, not months, but weeks, multiple weeks. So sucks on Mike Williams. Hopefully Keenan's healthy after the bye. Right now, what they have on offense is Austin Eckler doing everything. He is on pace to catch 128 balls, run for 922 yards, and score 19 touchdowns. Like one of the most epic fantasy seasons of all time for Austin Eckler. What you see out of the Chargers, another sluggish offensive game.
Yeah, geez, they really are a pretty disappointing team. It seems to me like Brandon Staley often leaves up the decision for injured players to play to the player. Part of him being like a player's coach. I think we've seen him do that with Justin Herbert before. It seems to be this case here with Keenan Allen, just complete ineffectiveness from Keenan Allen. And and they had the bye coming up. It just, I understand wanting to be a player's coach, but you kind of don't want to go overboard with it, right?
I mean, this injury thing with the Chargers, I mean, listen, man, it's not just offense. Like we talked about a bunch of their offensive injuries, whatever. They've also lost Joey Bosa for maybe the whole season, Rashawn Slater for maybe the whole season. Keenan missed time. And in this game, J.C. Jackson goes down. I get that J.C. Jackson wasn't playing well, but still, they lose J.C. Jackson now for the entire year. I mean, it seems like every year this team has major injuries across the board. I don't know what the correlation there. Maybe it's just random, but it's just crazy. Every year they lose so many guys to injury for the year.
The Spanos family, who owns him, is considered to be like one of the cheapest ownership groups in the NFL. I don't know if that has anything to do with, maybe spending less on sports science or something like that. But that's the only thing that I can think of. I hope no one played fucking Michael Bandy. I mean, he had 6 targets and -5 yards. Let's aim higher, folks. Aim higher, okay?
Let's go to Miami. Tyreek Hill's usage continues to be absolutely incredible, and he didn't completely pop off in this game. He was just fine, but given the usage that Tyreek Hill's getting, like this game was his floor. He's on pace for 138 catches and 1,877 yards. Highest he ever had with the Chiefs was 111 catches, 1,479 yards. Good to see Tua back and playing and running around out there as well. What you see out of the Dolphins? Narrow win over the Steelers on Sunday night.
I mean, Mostert remains the pretty clear-cut lead back. These wide receivers are just doing work every week. And I know it wasn't a big effort from Tyreek or Jalen Waddle, but having their down weeks be weeks where Jalen Waddle has 88 yards and Tyreek goes 7 for 72 on 13 targets, like that's got to feel good. Gesicki has been a lot more involved the past 3 or so weeks.
Yeah.
And I think he's reached a point where like I would start him in fantasy.
Yeah. Smythe has been banged up, which I think has helped. And also there's been a lot of trade rumors around Mike Gesicki. You could say maybe they're showcasing him, but I don't think that's probably true. They're trying to win games. So yeah. I mean, I think that Gesicki stuff, especially when Smythe is out, is probably okay. But yeah, I mean, the Tyreek and Waddle, I mean, they're going to finish with one of the highest combined target shares we've seen lately. It's just ridiculous. Like 50, 60% of the targets are going to 2 guys who are so good. New England, everybody's criticizing Belichick.
I want to say Miami got back Teron Armstead in that game against Pittsburgh, and Tua took 0 sacks on 35 dropbacks. But on to New England.
So a lot of people are criticizing Bill Belichick today for the way he handled Mac Jones coming back from injury and Bailey Zappi. I just think we don't really know. Like I thought a credible, and I think it was Tom Curran who covers the Patriots. A credible theory is that Mac Jones wasn't quite 100%. Bill Belichick wanted to see if Mac Jones could get out there and play well. Mac Jones starts the game, doesn't play well. Bill Belichick's like, screw it, let's just go to Zappi. And maybe that is it, or maybe there's a full-blown quarterback controversy. I don't really know, but it was ugly last night for the Patriots. What do you think about the quarterback stuff? Anything else on the Patriots? Yeah,
and it was interesting, that theory, because Mac Jones came out, like he had some nice runs early in the game. But yeah, I mean, I would trust Tom Curran as much as any other, or probably the most among Patriots beat writers when it comes to that stuff. He's always had a line to Belichick. He can like kind of read, and he's been covering the Patriots for a really, really long time.
Yeah.
He's really good at it. I would just kind of side with whatever he says. That Mac Jones essentially convinced Belichick to let him start, but but that Belichick was like, well, you okay, but you're going to be on a really short leash because we don't feel like you're where you need to be health wise. But he did look good to the untrained eye, at least as a runner.
Yeah, and also the people were saying like the plan before the game was for both of them to play. Like Schefter had it before the game that they were both going to play, so it was like the plan to let them both play, which is really, really weird. So I don't know. We're gonna have to dig into that some more. I did think it was encouraging that even with Damian Harris practicing full all last week and not being on the final injury report, Damian Harris only played 9 snaps. Ramondre Stevenson played 40. So Ramondre Stevenson, one of the most valuable, 10th, 11th round picks, and hopefully you guys all have him. Yeah. Jets, man, sad stuff. This was probably the worst injury of the week. I mean, we talked a lot about how good Breece Hall is and why Breece Hall was a fine pick in the dead zone, because normally you don't get actually talented players in there. Brandon's talked so much about how the offensive line has helped Breece Hall, and now torn ACL. Just sad, man. They go out immediately, make the move to give up, I believe it was a 6th round pick with a potential to go to a 5th for James Robinson. James Robinson for a long time has been a player that I've lost money on, that I have underestimated, because I think coaches like him and overestimate him. I think the question everybody wants to know is what will happen between Michael Carter and James Robinson? What will the split be this week? And then rest of season, how do you think about Carter versus James Robinson?
Yeah, well, one thing we talked about early in the season when James Robinson was having a lot of on-paper success was that he was banging these like long runs to really spike his overall production. But he really wasn't very efficient on a play-to-play basis. And he really just doesn't have a whole lot of juice as a runner. Now, he's going to a great running scheme. They've been fucking killing from a run game perspective. But I think he's a big drop-off in talent from Breece Hall, obviously. And I think that Michael Carter is better than James Robinson. But, he could earn short yardage stuff. He can pass protect. And again, he's jumping into a really productive scheme. So I think that there's some potential, and they want to run the ball there. There's some potential for him to be like a flex starter. It's a better situation right now than it was in Jacksonville, because he wasn't playing anymore in Jacksonville, because the other dude's way better. Etienne's way better than him.
I also think that it's a better situation than it was before for Michael Carter. In other words, Breece Hall was about to completely ice Michael Carter if he hadn't already. And now it's going to be, I think we're going to project it somewhere around like 55-45 in favor of Carter, or maybe like 52-48 in favor of Carter or something like that. And see how the chips fall from there. But I think that's fair.
Worth noting, Corey Davis got hurt in this game.
Yep.
Elijah Moore did not play, but they say he's going to come back and play this week. I mean, they need him at this point.
The Elijah Moore thing is crazy. I think the Jets would be crazy to trade someone that talented in their second NFL season, but they also need to start getting him the ball and working it out that way. Steelers. I think everyone wants to know who to blame for the offense. Deontay Johnson is dead last in the entire league in NFL, among NFL wide receivers in yards per target. 5.0 yards per target is like beyond incompetent for Deontay Johnson. But Deontay Johnson's always open. Like you look at those separation stats. I know ESPN just put it out. Dude is always open. The problem is he's open in like areas where he can't really do that much. And obviously he's had the drop issues, et cetera, et cetera. I don't have a lot of faith that this offense can really get it going outside of deep balls to George Pickens are exciting to me. What did you see out of the Steelers' loss in Miami on Sunday night?
Yeah, and look, Kenny Pickett's a rookie, in the NFL, but he's got 7 interceptions now through 4 appearances, 3 starts. It's just he's a rookie, and although Deontay Johnson leads the Steelers in targets on passes from Kenny Pickett, George Pickens has iced him in terms of production. George Pickens is like an absolute baller. The thing is that there's so many mouths to feed right now. I mean, Freiermuth came back from his concussion and had a really nice game. Pickens, Deontay Johnson, Chase Claypool, Najee Harris. It's just the offense isn't good enough to support these guys. So there's going to be a lot of ups and downs. I think that the most confident receiver play right now on the Steelers is George Pickens, not Deontay Johnson.
Yeah. I mean, Deontay's going to continue to earn targets. It's just we had an under on him in receiving yards props in that game. It was only 65 yards, but man, it's like he could get 10 targets and that's like 50 yards, I mean, literally 5.0 yards per target. It's pathetic. I also think like Steelers people want to blame Matt Canada. I mean, they really think that this is all on Matt Canada. I'm not willing to go that far, but I would say that the scheme has not been great, at least for Deontay Johnson. I'll say that. Last one we're going to do here is the Tennessee Titans. So I actually drafted Malik Willis at the last round of some best ball teams in the hopes that Ryan Tannehill, they'd be bad and Ryan Tannehill would get benched. I don't think that they've been bad enough for that yet, but Ryan Tannehill did hurt his ankle here. He's in a boot. Malik Willis has played 145 NFL snaps, preseason plus regular season. His rushing line on those 145 snaps, like a little bit over 2 games worth, 18 carries, 175 yards, 1 touchdown. Dude can run at like a Michael Vick type level in the NFL. However, if he has to get in there and pass, it's going to be a mess. I mean, he was really bad as a thrower in the preseason. So we'll see on Ryan Tannehill. I don't know what's going to happen there, if he's going to play or not, but I just want to put Malik Willis on people's radar. Anything else for you on the Titans?
Yeah, and to this point, like none of the Titans pass catchers have been useful either. Yeah. I mean, Robert Woods had what on paper looked like a great spot here and just totally flubbed it. 4 targets, nothing. So, and that I think would get even worse were they to put Malik Willis into the game. I mean, even at Liberty, he wasn't a dominant passer. But hey, it'd be fun. I don't think it would be a bad thing for Derrick Henry.
No.
And Derrick Henry's back to the just enormous volume. He's getting it. And I think he looks pretty damn good.
Yep, so do I. Big Dog is indeed eating. That is going to do it for this AFC team by team pod. Appreciate you all being here. If you're not subscribed yet, we do have weekly and monthly options available, and we are reducing our rest of season price here to account for roughly a third of the season, because we will go all the way through the playoffs to the Super Bowl being done. For Evan, for producer Luke, I am Adam. Good luck, everybody.